So let's reflect on last night. Maybe had a bit of time to digest what happened at Chesterfield. What did you make of the performance and the result in the end?
Performance not great. Very bitty performance. Didn't flow. Result bad. Disappointing. Probably an outcome that was about right, I would say, based on the second half. I think I've watched it back today. First half, there's very little between the two teams. We score a great goal. Not too many clear-cut chances for either team. Second half, until they scored, they have the more play in our half. We have a few good counter-attacks, but a lot of their opportunities are crosses, and they put a lot of balls into the box and get a lot of set plays, and ultimately they score from two set plays. I think at 1-1 we have a little period where we get on top, but we really did it. I didn't feel like we had enough control of the game in the right moments, and I don't think we created enough good opportunities really, like we have been doing in recent weeks.
Yeah. How frustrating is that as the manager that you weren't able to create those chances and make the most of the good moments in the game?
Yeah, frustrating, but we've had games that we've created loads of chances. This time we don't create so many. We score a great goal, but I think at 1-1 we have to be streetwise enough to see the game out, and see if it's us that we do get a big chance from a set piece with Kyle Cameron, and it would have been good at 1-1 if that was coming to us rather than to them. But listen, they capitalised on the set plays that they had, and that's why they won the game.
Yeah. Just spoke to Adam Chickston there, and he said that he touched on it like you did, about being smarter with game management and being more streetwise when defensively as well. Is that something you agree with?
Yeah, I think it's especially when you're making changes, and they made a couple of changes as well. The dynamic changes in terms of shape and certainly for set play moments. And I think we can slow the game down so that we can get good information onto the pitch so that the players. But it became so frantic towards the end that we didn't have that calmness where we can reorganise and make sure we're set and we don't let players get spare. And I guess that's the frustration. So yeah, we talked about it this morning about through key moments, knowing when to kill the opposition's momentum, when to try to pick ours back up. I think we let the game go out of our control a bit too much.
Yeah. Looking at the positives, another great goal from Eli Sam, continuing his good run of form in front of goal.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. He was a constant threat. He tired towards the end of the game, again, which is normal for someone with such a high output with so many games in quick succession. But he constantly looks a threat, especially when he's coming in on his right foot. Brilliant goal again. So it's great that we've got somebody that has hit that form at this moment.
Yeah, and he touched on it there, Ian, as well, that he's a little bit tired. How was the manager or the head coach? How do you develop a player like Eli Simon, make sure you get that balance right so he doesn't burn out after not playing as much football to suddenly going to playing 5-6 games in a row? How do you find that balance to get the best out of him?
I mean, physically he's fit, and he's getting through the games, no issue. It's just, I think if you look at any team that has like explosive, creative players at the top end of the pitch, it's quite often that they change in and out, even at the highest level, towards the end of games because you want fresh legs on as things are getting tired. So I think if we have him fresh and firing for as long as possible, and then we've got players like Aaron who did brilliantly against Woking that can come in and add new energy into the group. So I think he's doing great getting through the games at the moment.
Yeah. What response are you looking for now from your players after last night?
Obviously, we want we have had setbacks through the year with one or two games, and each time we've had that, we've responded well. The last one before this was Grimsby, and then we went on a good run after that. We have to focus on picking back up a good performance, because I think when we've performed well, we've got points out of the games, and it's really important that we get back to doing what we're good at, trusting in what we're doing. and then I look for a positive response at the weekend. We have another game quickly. It's good. They're coming thick and fast now, and it's this one we have to put to bed, learn a few lessons, and go head straight to the next one.
Yeah. I think Adam Chickton, we spoke to him, said that they learned quite a lot from last night, both him and some of the younger players as well. How important is it to get that experience of defeat, but also learn from it and take it into the games, particularly in like you say, an action-packed rest of the season?
I think so. I think we can consider that we will have some more games like this because we're going to play against some top teams, and when you play against top teams you don't just dictate everything for 90 minutes, especially when you go away from home. They're going to have periods where you have to weather the storm, pick back up your momentum, and we'll have to be very brave with and without the ball in certain matches, and I think that are going to be similar to the Chesterfield game. And if we are in the playoffs and we play in big matches, then of course there's going to be more games like this, high pressure, big crowds, and there's certainly massive lessons that we can take. But I feel like each time that we've had a setback, we've broke it down, learnt some things, and gone again. Yeah,
and that's something that I'm guessing you're hoping to replicate against Yeovil on Saturday, and then you've got three away trips as well off the back of that. And like you said, the schedule's very unforgiving at the minute.
Yeah, it's very unforgiving. We're going to play in a lot of difficult games now, and we have to be ready for that. But we know that if we can come through this month with a decent set of results, we're looking at a good run-in for ourselves with plenty of home games and opportunities to take more points. So there's a long way to go, a lot of football to play, and we sit in the playoffs at the moment. It's probably a bit below where we'd really like to be, but we're not a million miles away. So I think before this game we played some really, really good football and played some really good games, and this game was a blip. We have to put it behind us and move on. Yeah.
What are you expecting from Yeovil on Saturday?
Do you know what? I watched their game against Chesterfield, and they're a little bit unlucky. They had two big chances in the first half, and then they conceded. It was a good goal by Chesterfield just before half time. But they're a little bit unlucky in that game. I thought they could have come away with something. I think we beat them away 2-0, and I think since then they've really improved in the way in which they've played. Very well organised, and they've got some good threats up there. Experienced players like Adi Youssef up front, and they'll certainly. I'm sure they'll come with plenty of energy and a good plan to try and frustrate us.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much, Ian, and all the best for Saturday. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jake.
Let's talk about Eli the footballer, because obviously he's been the man of the moment over the last few weeks. What do you think, if anything, has changed, or can you tell me, for example, when he at the beginning of the season and for most of the season he wasn't very much part of certainly the starting lineup. Was he very patient? Was he knocking on your door? What sort of response were you getting from him?
I've got to be honest, he never knocked on the door once.
Right.
He just kept his head down and worked hard. He never complained. Every day when I talked to him, he was good and he was ready. But I think one thing that's changed for him is we changed the system more to a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 system, which allows kind of a wide forward where he's at his best. Before, when we were playing with two central strikers or a central striker and one off like Ruben, then it's not quite suiting his skill set. So then he wasn't being able to show what he was capable of, but now the kind of system change has given him that freedom. I also see that he's developed massively within the training sessions, and then when he's had his opportunity, he's taken it, and then he's excelled from there. And I think it's a lesson for everybody, because I know sometimes you sign players and everybody wants them to hit the ground running and be a megastar directly straight away, and some players do that, and some players it takes time. Not everybody that you bring in hits the ground and is a megastar straight away. Some of them take time to develop, and we've got some in that mould as well that still need time and patience and trust. So Eli's had it, and now he's excelling because of it, and I hope that's a good lesson for everybody about some of the other players as well in the squad that maybe have come in and haven't necessarily hit the ground running as fast as they'd like to, but they need to be given the time to develop.
I mean, obviously, you have good expectations of every player that comes into your club. But has he? Would you say he's even exceeded those in the last few games? Because he really is on a roll, isn't he?
I think he's probably gone above and beyond what we expected when we brought him in. But we knew that he got kind of an X factor, some real top qualities in there. But to be able to deliver consistently week after week is the key, and I think at the moment he's doing that. So yeah, he's probably, when we brought him in a few weeks ago, I think he played one game, and then it's the acid test is, can you replicate it? Can you replicate it? But now he's done it, and I think it's great for him.
You mentioned X Factor there. I mean, I think a lot of people think of Eli and they think of the fantastic goal he scored last season against Dagenham in the trophy. He seemed at the moment to be the type of footballer who scores X Factor goals. He doesn't score simple goals. How do you look on that type of thing?
Well, it helps us when we're not playing so well. So I don't think we created big chances last night early on, but then you need your top players to be able to pull something out of the bag, and he certainly did that last night. And he did it in a key moment against Woking, a great finish, and against Halifax. So yeah, he's scored some important goals now.
Is it something you look at also and think, can you develop into a player that will score tap-in goals?
Well, he got a tap-in against Barnet. I think the first one was a tap-in. It came off the keeper and he followed it up and got a tap-in. And he's a little bit unlucky. I think it was, which game was it? Was it the Halifax game? He had a great header that was blocked on the line. So I think he's capable of that. Of course, he's just got to put himself in those positions. But as a wide forward cutting in, it's great that he's got the ability to score from distance as well.
Mm-hmm. Going back to last night and obviously the position in the league in general, where do you see you? I don't think you're somebody who looks at the league table constantly from the interviews you've given, but where do you see that Notts are at this particular moment?
I see they were 7th.
Yeah.
And that's...
Are you still contenders for that automatic spot in your league?
But this is so hard, this league, and Stockport, we don't really control that because Stockport are ahead of us. We don't have the games in hand to catch them on points yet. And if Stockport go and win every game from now until the rest of the season, we don't have any control over the other teams. We only have control over ourselves, so we just focus on what we can do. We do our best every single game and we see what that produces, and I think if we bring our top performance level every game, we have a good chance to take points in every match. So we just have to focus on that really, and the rest follows. Try not to think about games in hand, who's playing who, what outcome can happen, because I think you get bogged down in things that you've got absolutely zero control over. You only have control over what we're doing, so I focus on that. I think it's this league, and I speak to people within the league that have been here for many years, and they all say this is probably the strongest it's been for a long while. So there's a lot of good teams with a lot of good players playing this season, and that's a big challenge. So we're up and around it, but of course we're disappointed with yesterday's game, but we just focus on the next one and make sure that we stay up and around it right until the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everything has to be put in context, and clearly, the last 3 games you've had control, or the 3 games prior to Chesterfield, you'd had such good control of the game that the opposition had only had 1 shot on goal all game. Last night, obviously, a different story. Do you feel, is there any thought at all about a need to change the defensive makeup at all of the side for the amount of goals that perhaps are being conceded from high balls and set plays and things like that?
Yeah, the set plays is one area, of course, that we want to make sure that we're nailing down and we don't become a weak link. And that has been a little vulnerability for us, and it's more of a vulnerability. You see that we defend set pieces in the first half very, very well. It's when the nature of the game changes and teams are bringing on different players, rotating, and we're having to bring players in and out, making sure that we're efficiently organised during those moments. But like you say, the 3 games prior, I think we conceded one shot on target in 3 games. I think we defended as a group very, very well. This game, bar the set plays, they didn't have. I've watched it back. They don't have huge like, they don't cut through us. A lot of crosses into the box, a lot of crosses, and then knockdowns and some shots with blocks. But we don't kind of get carved open. So I think if we can eradicate some of the set plays in the second phases on them, I think we can get much better, especially second phase, at stopping the cross coming in. Don't think we're aggressive enough to stop the cross. So there's a couple of areas definitely that we're looking at.
I mean, people focus on games such as Chesterfield because, you know, they're second in the league. It's a local derby, etc., more high-profile game. But presumably, you'd say that the game on Saturday is equally important. And bring on Yeovil.
Yep, absolutely. Every game is 3 points at stake. There was no more yesterday. Some local pride, of course, which we're disappointed about. We had a great following there, and we're disappointed for them. But that game's gone. Now it's about 3 points against Yeovil, and 3 points is what we want to try to achieve.